ready to get started?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so you're on the Whistling Meteor. It's the night that you all talked to Zyron and then went over to Wrestle, talked to your parents, encountered Liffy, and then headed back. And then everybody went to sleep. People had watch shifts, etc. So what is Belloryn doing in terms of getting up early and preparing? And is he sleeping? And what's kind of going on with it?
All right. He's not sleeping, so he takes the first shift and is doing the right stuff on his shift. He's watching out for everybody. He's doing all the stuff he normally would do, taking the first shift. And while he's doing that, he's thinking over all the stuff because it's a lot to unpack in a single day. Now, remind me real quick the name of the servant or tutor who went to see the cafe.
Yeah, so that was your friend Samuel.
Friend Samuel. Okay. Friend Samuel went. Okay. Got it. And so he, towards the end of his shift, he puts together 2 and 2 from Liffy's basically history lesson, particularly about the Library of Twilight. Through most of that, he wasn't paying super close attention because the recent revelations were just all in his mind, and it hits him like a ton of bricks. And so he goes to basically the captain's cabin because it's his turn, and he takes his weapons and he sets them down. He takes his money pouch, sets it down, and only walks out in his basically his noble merchant clothes, so his fine suit that he hasn't worn at all during the adventure to this point. He puts that on, and he just very casually walks off the Whistling Meteor during the shift change.
Nice. Okay, so he doesn't have his dagger, his crossbow, any of his gear, etc. Is that right?
Oh, that's right. He is.
Great. Okay, so you head off the Whistling Meteor during shift change. Go and give me a stealth check.
All right. All right. Damn, 23.
Okay. All right. So you make it off the Whistling Meteor. You make it off the docks. It's so you left after the first shift, so it's like Indigo 2. Like it is, the middle of the evening time. There is, virtually no one around. The streets aren't completely empty. There are, some people. There's always money to be made. So there are some people around and about. But compared to during the red through green phase, not really very populated. So where's Belloryn headed?
He is headed straight to the Library of Twilight.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's a pretty large building. You've never been there, but certainly you know where it is. And Samuel, your old friend, told you where he was going. So you navigate through the streets without difficulty, make it to the library. So the library is a about 4-story building. It takes up a huge portion of a block. There's a series of white marble steps leading up to a large double door. there's windows set along the perimeter, pretty much all around it, and through those windows you can see that there's a few lights on inside.
All right. Is it a building that is generally accessible to outsiders? Can people just walk in?
Give me a history, rock and roll history check.
All right, and I have advantage on that
Oh, nice.
because I am taking using my inspiration.
Okay.
16.
Okay. And remember, you have proficiency in that now.
Yes. So I rolled a 14.
Okay, great. So, yeah, what you know is that people are allowed in. You know that there's some sort of admissions process. Chit-chatting, you know that Azish has ways to get access to library type buildings and venues relatively easily. So if Azish were with you, this would be like a breeze, no problem. Just normal people who aren't like well connected with the library can show up like your friend did, but it's not just like a waltz right in. That there is some sort of interview or something that happens in order to get access.
Does my courtier background grab me any sort of organizational?
No, unfortunately, since this is not bureaucracy or noble built, it's very much run by the scholars.
Okay.
But you do know that it's run by the Fae, and
Yes.
so being half elven will probably be a little bit in your advantage in that regard.
All right. And am I aware of any reluctance people might have to let me in there?
Not to get general access to the library. You do know that people who go to talk to the cafe often do not ever leave the library. You don't know what that process is like, but there's something that happens to them between going to the doors and coming out.
All right.
But for general, you think that you could go in, have a conversation, say what you want to say, and then kind of go from there.
All right. So I'm going to start by just walking in and speaking with a scholar and just
great
feel that out.
So opening one of the double doors puts you into a fairly dimly lit entryway. It's about 40-foot square. It's a fairly large room. There's a desk pretty much right in the middle of it. There's suits of armors around the four corners. The floor are black and white checker tiles. And sitting on top of the desk is a 6-inch tall, little pixie-ish looking thing. It's definitely female and has kind of this dusky skin. It has like these pantaloon pants and kind of this simple bodice thing.
And a Belloryn knowledge check. Are any of my tutors Fae?
No, they were all humans.
Okay, got it.
Yep. This little creature looks up at you. A little shimmer appears around her as she takes off, her wings flapping, and she kind of comes at you. And looking at her, it's really kind of eye-watering, like a distant desert mirage, even though she's right there. The dim light isn't helping. She kind of smiles sleepily at you, yawns. Oh, welcome to the library of Twilight. Well, what can I do for you, traveler?
Greetings. I seek I seek important knowledge that's personal to me, and I've been told that this is the place to find it.
Yes, traveler, there's many things that you may learn here. What do you wish? I might be able to summon a scholar to help you find some books, although if it's of a personal nature, I'm not sure what that would be.
I'm not sure that it will be in books, but up until this point, the elf half of my life has been, how to say, suppressed, and it hasn't been something that's been very important to me. And questions have come up in the last couple of days. I have lived on the rock all my life, and I was always told that the beginning and all knowledge and end of all knowledge could be sought at the library if one was worthy.
Oh, she gets this sort of sad expression as she regards you. You want to talk to the cafe, don't you?
Let me be very clear. I say this 3,000 times. I absolutely do not want to talk to the Cathay, but I believe I need to.
She nods. She says, hold a moment. She wings her way back to the desk, drops bullet behind it. A moment later, the doors on the other side of the entryway open, and emerging through them is a woman with what looks like bark for skin and green flowing hair. She doesn't have any clothes on, but it's all barky and woody and doesn't look like she needs them. She walks through, has a little whispered conversation with the little fairy genie thing, and then walks up to you. She nods her head.
I bow as gracefully as possible.
Lilia tells me you wish to, not wish to, you seek to speak with the Cathay. You will come with me.
I will.
She walks through the doors. So going through these double doors, you enter into the main chamber of the library. The main feature of the Library of Twilight is this tree in the central room that extends up, its branches reaching up to the fourth floor. Around the base of the tree are a ring of 6 elves dressed in gold and silver plate armor, bearing spears. You can feel the magic wafting off of these 6 beings. To the right and left are spiral staircases going up to the second floor, where there are further books and stacks. There are some books and stacks on this floor. Most of the lights are out, so most of the library is lost in darkness. The tree seems to emit its own light. Your escort walks you around the tree and behind, and goes further down the library. She passes through a couple of double doors and goes down another corridor, turns right, goes through another couple of double doors, and in here, this seems to be like a an infirmary, or um, it's a little bit confusing. Like, there are beds laid out as if, for a hospital, but there are also people like sitting at tables playing games. Everybody has very simple white gowns on, and some of them are younger, 10, 12, 15. Most of them are in their 30s and 40s. Most of them are human. There are a handful of half elves, a couple of elves as well. Um, and you see that some of them have just like a far off look, like they're just staring at the wall. Some of them have incredible deformities, like their face has been burned off or they've lost limbs. Some of them are cruising around on little tensors floating disc because they don't have any legs. They all seem to have suffered some serious catastrophe. Most of them are asleep, but there are a handful that are awake. And you spot off to the side a figure that looks vaguely familiar. And he catches eyes with you. He's this stooped over old human male. He kind of looks at you and takes a few shuffling steps, his little slippered feet making slow progress towards you. Your escort sees this man and briefly pauses. Give me a perception check.
16.
16. So as this elderly man is like shuffling towards you, kind of bent over, you kind of peer past the wrinkles and the bulbous nose, and you look into his eyes and you recognize the same eyes as your old friend Samuel, who went to the library to seek out the cafe and never left. He shuffles within a few feet of you and looks up, and he has this kind of broken tooth grin. Oh, my old friend Belloryn, have you come for me? The dryad creature kind of takes a step towards him and puts a hand on his shoulder and speaks to him, says, now remember, you're not supposed to leave, Samuel. You need care here. Oh, you're
Why?
right, you're right.
Why can't you leave?
Oh, my body is too fragile.
You weren't this fragile when I last saw you. What happened?
Oh, so many years ago. You know, I went off to the library and I went through the test and I failed. I kept my life, but it destroyed my body. And they have taken care of me as they do all who are destroyed by the test. And he gestures, and you look around and see, like, yeah, these people are all seriously, like, either mentally or physically destroyed.
I turn to the dryad and I say, what is this test?
The test is required for any who wish to speak to the cafe. We can't allow just anyone to speak to it. Its power is too great and awful. Each one who seeks it must undergo their own personal test. Most die. Some end up as invalids whom we care for, and some very lucky few succeed and are allowed to speak with the creature.
Samuel, do you know where my parents got their fortune?
Oh, Belloryn, it's so long ago. Let me think. Oh, no, my mind, you understand. I don't remember most things most days.
I see. No, that's all right. Why don't you take a rest?
Oh, yeah, you could probably find my mother. She no longer tutors for them, but she knew them for many years. She comes and sees me on occasion.
All right. I sort of gently help Samuel back to his bed
Okay.
and turn to the dryad and say, am I able to know about my test before accepting or choosing to leave?
The test is drawn by the magic of this place from your mind. individual and does not exist until you step into the testing room.
Hmm. As I said to the little pixie, I don't want to. What I want most right now is to leave, but the freedom of untold numbers may depend on what I can find out here, so I must try.
The dryad nods at you and turns and walks away. You follow her. At the end of the infirmary, she stops, and there is a single solid panel marble door. And she explains, once you pass through the door, I will seal it behind you, and your test will begin. I will open it in a moment, and whatever your state, we will care for you.
All right.
She waves her hand, and the door grinds open.
All right, let's see. Take a moment to steel myself.
Beyond, you see a brightly lit, completely all white, simple square room that's quite large, about 40 feet by 80 feet, with a huge ceiling. About the ceiling is probably as tall as the building, 30 or 40 feet high.
All right. And square my shoulders, stand up as straight as possible, and take long strides into the middle of the space.
Okay. You step into the middle of the space, look around, again, totally featureless, flat walls. The marble door slides closed. As soon as it does, it becomes part of the featureless wall. And a moment later, you are in Resselay's garden. You are standing by the old stick humanoid figure statue that you accidentally broke when you were younger. The garden seems very similar. The major difference is that the hedges have grown up to be about 10 feet high. And you are in one corner of the garden, and you can see paths through the hedges at a right and left 90-degree angle ahead of you.
All right, and the statue is whole again?
It is.
And can I see down the paths?
Yes. Yeah, the paths go for about 30 feet, and then you see that there are branches, and then they continue on and then curve.
All right. Do I see any indication if one or the other leads to a separate place, or if they both converge?
Yeah, give me an investigation.
7.
Yeah, it looks like the branches that they both take, they might converge eventually, but it's not super clear. And your memory of the garden, if this is built on the actual garden, you've got a pretty clear vision of where the paths go. So you could navigate yourself probably anywhere that you want within the garden, assuming that it's on the same layout as the one at Resselay.
All right. Is anything out of place?
Nothing looks different to you other than the statue being whole and on its pedestal and the bushes being overgrown. Otherwise, the smell is the same. You can hear the tinkling of water from the central pond. The flowers all look the same. Seems like a very, very real replication.
And is it a case of same as it ever was, or if it coincides with a specific time in my life, its layout?
It you didn't spend that much time last night revisiting it, so go ahead and give me just a splat intelligence check.
8.
You don't get the sense that there's a distinct moment in time. In fact, it seems like it might be sort of blended from your childhood to when you were an older adult to when you encountered it last night. It's not very clear to you.
Okay. All right, going right.
Okay. You go right down the path for about 30 feet, and then it branches left or continues and then kind of takes a little bit of a curve. Down the branch to the left, you see walking down the path towards you a male human. And having just seen him in his aged form, you recognize Samuel immediately. He is the same age as you, which of course you never saw him this age. You were both, 10 or so the last time you saw him. So he's, 21, walking quickly down the path in your direction, kind of looking over his shoulder, and then he turns and looks at you and pulls up about 20 feet away and looks kind of confused and cocks his head and says, Belloryn, what are you doing here?
Samuel, I don't rightly know what brings you out of here so quickly.
You hear off in the distance in the maze a quiet little like a chicken. And Samuel says, Belloryn, we're not alone in here. We got to get out.
All right, take me.
I don't know. I just showed up, and if what happened? I went to the library. You didn't stop me, and you didn't come with me, and now I'm an old man. Why did you leave me?
I was a child, I didn't know. I'm sorry. If I knew then what I knew now, I would have stopped you. Or I would have come with you. Most likely I would have stopped you. Do
Well,
you do you know what my parents do?
um, no, it was never very clear to me. I think the tutors knew.
All right, walk with me. Are you armed at all?
He looks down. He's just got simple pants and a tunic on. He doesn't have any gear of any kind.
All right, I usher him back the way or do I get a sense of direction from the chicken noise kind of thing?
Yes. So if the manor is north, you are currently headed east, and so you started off in the southwest corner of the
Okay.
garden. If the manor is north, it came from the northeast.
All right. Do I have sort of a western route that I can take,
Well,
sort
you
of to get
go,
as far?
yeah, you can
Hmm,
go west back to where you started, and then
I
from
see.
there,
Okay.
that's the furthest corner, and then you can go north, I suppose, from there.
All right. So I'm going to do that. I am going to keep Samuel quiet and listen very carefully.
Okay. Samuel, as you start to walk off, Samuel shakes his head. He says, I can't go with you, Belloryn. I'm sorry. And he turns and heads the other direction. He goes north.
All right. I follow at some distance. I've left him once. I'm not going to do it again.
Okay. Why don't you get inspiration for acknowledging that child's decision is not the same as an adult's.
All right.
You follow him. He turns a corner. You go up to that corner and you turn and look, and he is gone. He just vanished into thin air.
Do I still hear the noise?
You only heard it that one time.
All right. Do I I'm concerned to call after him, but so is this some kind of convergence? Are there multiple places that he could have gone?
You think that he probably It seems unlikely. Based on the distance and your knowledge of the garden, you would have expected when you got to that intersection to see him, 30, 40 feet away, and he wasn't there.
Do I have any sense that that he was real?
Give me an insight check.
Nat 20.
Okay. Based on what the Dryad told you, you think that this entire thing is a construct pulled from your mind. So it is as real as you believe it to be. You don't know that you'll have any control over what's happening here per se, but you think that the testing room is basically pulling things from your mind and putting it.
Mm-hmm. I walk back to the original statue.
Okay. As you do, so you go, you take a couple of turns and you're headed back to the southwest corner. Just glancing behind you, you see a statue on the path that was not there before. And this statue looks like the butler, Edward. He is standing there with a plate in his hand and a letter on top of it that's all stone as well. And he has this kind of expectant expression on his face. He's just standing in the middle of the path.
I'll pick up the letter.
It's also stone. It's like
stone.
Parcel of the whole thing.
Is it sort of stenciled in any way? Is there any kind of lettering?
Yeah, you can because it's kind of tented on the platter, you can kind of get down and make out some of the lettering.
Mm-hmm.
And you do speak Elven, since you were
yes
extensively. It is written in Elven. It seems to be in your mother's hand, and it says, Maximilian, please see me in the study this evening.
All right. I am going to take just a moment and physically acknowledge Edward, like just a little gentle caress behind the head, like acknowledging that this is an important person. Okay. And moving with purpose towards that room.
Okay. You hear from the east a little more carrying chicken noises. So you realize now that you do not see the expanse of Resselay where you would expect it to. You see just endless brawl, nighttime sky everywhere, besides the garden.
All right. Do I see any kind of exit, or is the garden just a is it some kind of mental loop, sort of Inception style?
Yeah. So you know the main gate entrance. So if you want to head that way.
All right, I'm headed that way and listening carefully for more of the chicken noises.
Okay. You make it to the front gate entrance. It is closed and barred with the usual lock. The keyhole for the lock is different than the one that you remember.
All right.
The one that you remember was basically a circle and then a flange below it. This one is a circle and a slot below it.
All right. I entered the test space with nothing. I'm going to check my pockets.
Okay. They are similarly still empty.
All right.
Oh wait, no, sorry. You do have your silver dagger of Eggport on you.
All right. I will pick it up and sort of gently try to place it into the keyhole, see if there's any kind of purchase at all.
Okay. So there, as you advance it into the keyhole, it actually stops as if there is a force field preventing it from entering the keyhole.
I see. All right. Do I see anything past the gate?
You do not. It's all actually that same starry brawl sky kind of extends out and including into the floor. So it looks like the garden's basically suspended in space above the rock.
Okay. All right. And
Noises to the north. Seems like they're a little bit louder.
is there a vantage point? Is there something I can climb?
You could try climbing the bushes. You could try climbing the statues. You know that because the statues are all on pedestals, so you can climb on top of the statues and potentially get a look over the bushes. And then, of course, you have your storm burst thing.
Yes. All right. I am going to climb the most stable looking of the statues. I
Okay.
want to try to see this chicken thing before it sees me.
Okay. So probably the most stable of them is the warrior that's got his hands on the sword, that's kind of looking sternly ahead. That is near the center of the garden. If you went in that direction, you could like circumvent it, but it sounds like that's where the chicken noise is right now. Is
All right.
the garden. That's the most stable one. The other one that's probably pretty stable is the Mind Flayer, which is in the northeast corner. The stick figure is the most easily climbable because he's like all these like stick ankles.
All right. How likely am I to topple him over if I climb him?
A non-zero chance. That's
Okay.
how you did it when you were younger.
All right. Well, I'm not going to do that because the things that I have broken as a child with the lens of hindsight, I'm not going to break that again. And so I'm going to attempt to move somewhat quietly around the perimeter to see if I can see this chicken thing.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Okay. It's 15.
Okay. So you stealth your way around. So are you trying to stalk it at this point and get a look at it before it sees you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Give me a survival check then, please.
All right. Nat 20.
Okay. So I will give you the positioning of your choice in relationship to where you encounter this thing.
All right.
So the longest stretch of sight that you have in one of these pathways is 50 feet, or you could be in the central pond area, which is relatively clear. There's the pond and there's a bunch of stepping stones that go down the center. So it allows more maneuverability for you and the chicken thing, for better or worse.
All right.
Or you could be right around the corner when you encounter it.
Let's have the most open and maneuverable space.
Okay. Okay, so you are tracking this thing expertly through the bushes. Your knowledge of the garden, enhancing your natural cleverness. And do you want to be across the pond from the thing when you encounter it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you enter the central area. So here, there's the statue of the warrior with his hands on the pommel that you're kind of like right behind. Um, there's about a 80-foot square clearing in the center. In the middle is a pool about 30 feet in diameter with stepping stones across the center. So you can walk on those stepping stones, or obviously you can go around the pool. There are rose bushes all around, artfully arrayed, etc. And across the square from you, so what did I say, that was 80 feet. Across the central square from you is what looks like a chicken. It's about 3 or 4 feet tall, but it's got like a scaly hide and these like bright red plumes sticking off of the top of its head. And it turns and spots you as you are stalking it. Roll initiative.
All right. All right. 19.
Okay. You get to act first.
All right.
Looks at you with malevolence and clearly intends you harm.
Oh, all right. So before this the spell I cast, I am going to activate my tempestuous magic, and winds carry me up 10 feet, and I crackle and is all kinds of messed up.
Okay.
And I use a second level spell slot to loose magic missile.
Okay, so that gives you 4 missiles, I believe.
Yes, 4d4 plus 4.
Alrighty, roll it.
So 13 damage.
Okay, great. So you cast your spell, fly up into the air, hurl these bolts of magic at the thing. They pound into it, scorching the exterior of the thing. It lets out a kind of cry, clearly injured. Any movement?
I'm still kind of the pond is still between.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep concentration for the levitation as best as possible,
Okay.
and stay somewhat still.
Okay. Okay. It acts and it flies towards you rather speedily and closes the distance. You're in the air. It starts flapping towards you with its wings, and it's making a beeline right at you. But it used all of its movement to get there, so it's your go. It is in melee range with you at this point.
Okay. I am going to. So tempestuous magic, I don't entirely understand. Does it ease off
Yes.
between?
Yeah.
So I am now.
You have to cast it each time.
I am now down on the ground.
Yeah, it just says fly 10 feet. So I guess if you went 10 feet up, then you just dropped back to the ground.
Okay, so
it kind of flied in a parabola to land in front of you.
what are my my landmarks?
So you're right adjacent to the statue with the warrior. You got this huge chicken bird thing in front of you. There's a pathway behind you to go further into the garden. And then ahead of you, it's about 20 feet away, is the pond. And then there's the rose garden kind of all around. It's an open, more or less open space. And then there's also other entryways into the other paths of the garden.
All right. So and we are in melee. So let's see.
But in 5th edition, you can cast in melee without provoking attacks of opportunity.
Yes, that is what I was checking on. So so now I am if I were to float up again, I'd be right in line with it.
No, it's right in front of you now. So if you flew up again, it would probably just fly up to grab you.
All right, but the tempestuous magic doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity,
Right.
so I can do this sort of simultaneously, and I will once again activate the tempestuous magic. Use another 2nd level spell slot, but this time cast Thunderwave.
Ooh, okay. And what effect does that have?
All right, so I am setting the 15-foot cube below me.
Okay.
And has to make a Constitution saving throw, DC 13, with a failed save, 3d8 thunder damage, and is pushed 10 feet away from me. Successful save, 3d8 divided by 2.
Okay, roll your damage.
All right, and was I successful or failed?
It did save.
Did save.
Yep.
Okay. So give me just a second on that 3d8. Okay, so that is 9 points of damage after the adjust.
Oh, wow. Okay. 18. Okay. All right. So you float up, hurl a thunder wave down on the thing. It crushes into the thing. It kind of, tries to shake it off, but is obviously seriously injured. It flaps and floats up and tries to bite you.
All right, and shield. So +5 on the AC.
All right. It's got a 14, and your AC is now 17. So it goes to peck you, and it hits this invisible barrier that's right in front of you.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Quickened spell.
Okay.
So disengage.
Okay.
And use the quickened spell to once again float up 10 feet now that I'm out of immediate range. Level 1 magic missile.
Okay.
All right, and so that's 3d4 plus 3.
Okay.
All right, and that is 10 points of damage.
Yeah. Okay, 3 of these missiles slam into the thing, and it scorches it, obviously seriously injured.
All right, and I can't do a second.
You could do a cantrip.
A cantrip, okay.
Since you spell as your bonus action, you do cantrip as your regular action.
Let's I am no longer in melee, correct?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what you wanted to do. So what was your vision for movement?
My vision for movement was to be just out of the reach of the thing. So when I floated up again, that that I would at least entice it, but not be quite close enough for it to immediately close.
Okay.
But what I am considering is stabbing with the Eggfort dagger, which is buoyed by shocking grasp.
Yeah, that's That's totally something you could do. What's the casting time on Shocking Grasp?
I want to say it's let me pull it up.
Okay. If it's part of the attack action.
One action.
Okay. And then what's the description? Is it part of the attack action or?
Lightning springs from your hand to deliver a shock to a creature you try to touch. Make a melee spell attack against the target. Okay, so probably can't do it with as much as I'd like the symbolism of the dagger. I think I'm gonna pet it and shock it.
Okay. All right. Roll your melee magic attack.
All right. And $21.
That definitely hits. Roll your
All
damage.
right. Let's see. All right, that's 1d8, and it can't take any action until the start of its next turn.
Okay.
That's 7.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. You reach out to pet it, and this jolt of electricity zaps through the thing. You smell cooked chicken on the air, and it is it is still severely damaged. So it can't act until its next turn.
Yes.
Okay, but on its turn it can act normally.
Yes.
Okay.
And
All right.
so I'm not sure if during this particular turn, if I get.
I think it's basically like it couldn't take reaction to that sort of thing.
Got it. Okay.
Is the value of that. All right. It tries to take a peck at you again.
Shield.
Okay, and misses. All right, Belloryn.
All right.
How are you doing for spell slots?
I've got one more level 1, and I can convert up to 2 more level 1 spell slots with my sorcery points, which I have not activated yet.
Is it 1-to-1 for sorcery points to?
I believe for level 1.
Okay.
It may be 2-to-1 if you want to make a ruling, but I was under.
You should say. Okay, so you cast a second level magic missile. You cast a first level magic missile. You cast a first level thunder wave. You cast.
And the thunder wave was a second level thunder wave,
Oh,
which is why I got so much. So I am out of level 2 spell slots
that
right
makes
now.
sense. I was like, 3D, it's a lot of damage. Yeah, first level spell slots, 2 sorcery points. So you still have.
All right, what's a second level spell slot? Is it 4? Is it a 2-to-1 conversion?
I don't know the answer to that. Let's see. Right here. It's 3.
Okay, so it's a 3-to-2 conversion.
Yeah, but I think for quicken spell costs you 2 sorcery points.
Oh, okay. Well, then I only have 1 left.
Right.
All right, fair enough.
You can still use what you have, twin spell or something.
Yeah, but I don't have multiple effects to different. I've got the one thing.
Oh, I see. It targets a second creature. Got it.
Okay. Yeah. So I am going to level 1 magic missile.
All right. Roll your damage.
All right. That is 11.
Okay. The thing twitches and keels over, clearly dead, and then turns to stone. You have slain the dreaded cockatrice.
Who?
A key appears on a collar around its neck.
Is the collar removable?
The key is removable.
The key is removable. Okay, I'm going to take the key.
Okay. It's like a red metal key, pretty large.
Is it like warm to the touch? Anything strange about it, or does it feel like a key?
Oh, feels like a key.
All right, so I'm going to just sort of gently back away from the thing, like maybe 4 or 5 steps, just to just to get a good sense that this thing is actually toast.
Looks pretty good.
Okay, and now I am going to walk with insane purpose towards the locked gate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you get to the front gate. As you do so, you see right by the front gate is a statue of a petrified Samuel of the age that you saw in the maze here. He's standing there. Looks like he's running from something, and he's frozen.
Does he have anything on him?
Nope, he's just like you saw him before, just a tunic and breeches.
How heavy are these petrified?
They're reasonably heavy, but you could probably drag one.
Okay, so what are we near the gate? Is he
Yeah,
like
it's
right
right
next?
through that. It's like a you can probably grab Samuel and unlock the gate.
Okay, I'm going to grab Samuel. I'm going to unlock the gate, and if it swings open with enough space, I'm taking that. I'm taking the petrified Samuel back to the world with me.
Okay, cool. All right, you unlock the lock. In fact, the key does work, and the gate swings open. You drag this statue through, pass through the gate. You wake up on the floor in the big white room. The door is grinding open, and you see the bark-skinned woman looking in at you and has a little bit of a surprised expression. Oh, well, are all your faculties intact?
Are they?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
She nods and gestures for you to follow.
Did the statue? Did anything come with me at all? Is there?
So yeah, checking your pockets, you feel a small figurine in one of your pockets, and it's a little 2-inch high rendering of that statue.
All right. I asked the dryad, do I have one moment before I come with you to? Would you take me back to Samuel for just a moment?
Certainly.
All right. Samuel's still awake.
You know he's sleeping.
All right. So I'm going to set the statue of the adult him next to his bed
Okay.
and speak gently but loudly enough to sort of pierce subconscious. This is who you are. This is who you are right now. You are not an old man. This is who you are. And this is you coming back to here. I'll see you soon. And follow the dryad.
Awesome. Give me a persuasion on that.
Okay. That is 17.
Alrighty. All right, you planted what you hope is a effective suggestion, and follow the dryad. She walks back to the main room where the tree is and takes you up one of the spiral staircases to the second floor, and then other staircases up to the third floor and the fourth floor. So part of the fourth floor, it doesn't extend into the stacks. Like the fourth floor is basically just a balcony around the thing where the leaves of the tree kind of extend off to. She nods to you and says, "Whenever you wish to leave, just come down. We'll escort you out." And she goes back down.
Do I know any fey gestures of respect?
Yes.
All right. I offer that to her as she leaves.
Okay. She nods and gives you a little bit of a smile.
All right, and I turn and I listen carefully. And so I am waiting to be spoken to.
Well, now, what have we here? Poor little Belloryn, you have no friends your own age. Why do you suppose that is?
That's a good question. Maybe I was never allowed to grow normally with the right influence.
Have to spend time with 12 and 13-year-olds. Poor Belloryn. Well, you bore me already. What do you want to know?
There are slaves beyond number under my parents' control, and I can't live with that.
That seems like a statement rather than a question.
Yes. Is there a way that I can reverse the terrible damage my family has done?
What makes you think that what you saw was real?
Was it?
What damage do you think that your family has wrought besides bringing you into this world?
Are slaves beyond number not damaging the sphere? Isn't freedom the right of all living things?
Those are philosophical questions that don't interest me very much. How many elves have children?
A lot. Many elves have children.
Hmm. How long were your parents together before they have you? What did they use those rings for?
What
Surely,
are the rings?
well, they have 3 stones on them, and some of them have been used. Your mother, Daphne, is the Elven Oracle, and she knows what approaches. How many storms strike the Rock of Brawl? How did you get to be the way that you are?
Am I familiar with the significance of any storm in my life?
Give me an intelligence check.
Right?
Actually, give me insight. Sorry.
Okay. Insight 19.
Okay. No, and now, now that he mentions it, it is really freaking weird that you have storm-based powers. Like there's no weather on the Rock and Brawl. You've been born here your whole life. You live here your whole life, but you've also your whole life always had some felicity with wind magic.
What is the purpose of a storm?
You bore me with your philosophical entreaties.
Am I the storm?
Yes, your parents wished you to have power because what they need you for, you would not have had enough as you were.
Did they make a bargain to get me this power?
What do you think?
Do I see any kind of being at all? Is it just a voice coming at me?
There is like a slithering, sinuous shape that's kind of moving deep within the tree that doesn't resolve itself particularly well, but you do see something kind of slithering, moving in the branches.
All right. How are my faculties?
They're
How's
great. You're just out of spell slots.
okay? But I mean my mental faculties. Am I getting messed up?
No, no, you feel fine.
Okay. I am going to very very gently but assertively and without turning my back on the cafe until I am at the stairs, I'm going to back away and discontinue the conversation.
You're friends now. Have you never wondered how it is Azish got that new book of his? How close is Enid to the Queen of Death? Rafa has more power in her little finger than your whole being. Doesn't any of that bother you?
As I move, am I being sort of called to with this information?
Yeah, you can see that the kind of slithering, sinuous finger is like orienting towards you as you're making your way down the stairs, and it's continuing to talk to you.
Okay, I slow down and I'm listening and I'm absorbing the information, but I have ceased to play the questions game. There is a deep unease, and I feel like every question I ask, I am um, I am setting events into motion that can't be unfolded.
Don't you want to ask what you really came to know?
I'll stand stock still and and just sort of peacefully wait. I'm not going to ask my question. I'm going to let him answer, and then I'll reframe the question to make it make sense in my head.
Okay. He does not continue actually after that last goad.
All right. And so are there do I know any gestures that are fey curses?
Yes.
I'm gonna send one behind me, the fey equivalent of this,
Right. Nice.
and keep walking.
Okay. All right. You descend the stairs. The dryad meets you, nods, says, "I must inspect your body for marks."
All right. At this point I'm feeling super symbolic, and since all I'm wearing is the merchant noble's clothes, unclasp and stand skyclad to be inspected.
Okay. Okay. The dryad takes a few moments to look you over. Seems satisfied. Thank you. You may go.
And redress, and I walk towards Resselet.
If you ever wish to speak to the cafe again, you must undergo the test again.
And I will turn and very quietly say, nothing alive should be allowed to speak to that thing again. Hopefully none will be worthy.
She nods her head in complete agreement. Okay, you go out through the entryway. You see the little genie fairy is napping on the desk. Doesn't wake up as you exit.
All right. Am I still carrying that dagger by chance?
No.
Okay, that's cool. All right. I am going to walk to Resselet and I feel weird and like almost pulsing with some kind of sense that has nothing to do with magic. It's just a an emotional pressure.
Awesome.
And so,
You kick up little dust devils, kind of stir the trash as you're storming through the streets of Brawl. It's Violet 1 now. There is almost nobody on the streets.
all right,
It's not far from here to Resselay. You walk up to the gate.
all right. Is there a bell? How do I hail the?
Well, historically, you've always been able to wave your hand and the gate opens.
I'm gonna wave my hand.
The gate does not open.
All right. So, how do guests enter Wrestling?
Um, you're not entirely sure, to be honest. Like whenever you had visitors, Edward just seemed to know.
Um, Now I'm not sure if this is true for half elves. Do half elves do the Fey sleeping trance?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
they fully sleep. Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to stand clear of the gate so that if it opens, I am not. But I'm going to kneel into a meditative repose, sort of reminiscent of the Shaolin aspirant,
Okay.
and just wait
Okay.
to be allowed entrance.
Give me a Constitution saving throw. You've been up all night. You've been through a terrible ordeal. Your emotions are roiling.
All right, 17.
Okay, no problem staying awake. Right around Violet 2, you hear the front door of Mandalay open. And a moment later, Edward is standing on the other side of the gate. Young Master Belloryn. Good evening.
Good evening, Edward. I'd like to speak to my parents.
I understand. You know I'm not supposed to let you on the grounds.
That's fine. They told me I had time and that I had that they would speak to me once more. Would you carry a message?
Certainly, Master Belloryn.
Do you have a calling card that I may write on?
Naturally, he reaches into his jacket.
All right. Write down. I have considered your offer and would like to discuss it further. B.
Okay.
And set it face down
Yeah.
on the tray.
Ladder. Okay. All right. He takes it, walks in, comes back about 10 minutes later with a similar note.
All right. Read sort of impassive face.
Meet at the Clover at Red 3.
All right. And return it. Nod to Edward, and without saying another word, walk towards the Clover.
Okay.
How far am I from Red 3? That's
got
the
about-
beginning of the day.
Yeah, you've got about 5 hours to kill.
5 hours. Okay. I am absolutely without money.
Yeah, but I mean, there are plenty of people who sleep rough on the Rock of Brawl.
All right. Um, I am going to sleep rough near the or at least doze rough. Basically, not entirely.
Right.
Because besides my clothes, I don't really have anything of value, and somebody could kill me dead, but but they're very likely to spill blood as I have no armor on whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so I am going to just sort of gently doze and try to at least be somewhat aware of the time.
Okay. Um, at one point, a couple of roughs come along and kind of rough you up, and they mug you for your jacket.
All right, fine.
So now you are in your business attire without the fancy jacket.